Continuing, he had 900 chariots of iron. It is a natural and even prudent, Salaki, it is natural and even prudent to assess the capabilities of one's enemy. Articles with titles like the five most powerful armies or China's five deadliest weapons attempt to evaluate the weaponry of today's military powers. Canaanite armament greatly surpassed Israel's. 900 chariots of iron would evoke fear in any reasonable person. One might lie awake at night counting chariots rather than sheep, but Yahweh had a plan. Both the Bible and historians recount a rainstorm that would prove to be too much for the Canaanites. What good are chariots of iron in a river mud? Yahweh again had the last word. And this is Judges 4, verse 9. I will surely go with thee, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor, for the Lord shall sell Caesarea into the hand of a woman. The period of Judges was the period of Judges was a tumultuous time in Israel's history. In disobedience to Yahweh, the Israelites had failed to fully displace the peoples of Canaan when they conquered the land, and the Lord used these pagan people to punish Israel when they turned away from the true power. In the particular case in Judges 4, the oppressors of Israel were the Canaanites, who under their king Jabin and his military commander Sisera gained control over Israel's northern territories around the Sea of Galilee. After 20 years of oppression, the people of Israel finally cried out to the Lord, and he mercifully sent them help. The Lord first spoke to the prophetess Deborah, telling her to inform a man named BVarak to gather together 10,000 men at Mount Tabor so that the Lord could deliver Caesarea to his hand. BVarak's response was he would do as the Lord commanded him, but only if Deborah accompanied him. Judges 4 and 8. Deborah's reply is found in our golden text. She agreed to go with BVarak, but speaking prophetically, she declared that while he would be victorious, he would not receive all the glory for the victory, for Caesarea ultimately would be killed by a woman. Deborah's words seemed to be a bit of a rebuke to BVarak, and in fact, BVarak's immediate obedience without condition certainly would have demonstrated the kind of faith Yahweh wanted in his chosen deliverer. However, BVarak was not without faith. We need to understand that BVarak did not receive his instructions directly from the Lord, but from the Lord's prophetess. He probably wanted to make sure his source of divine guidance was not far from him during the battle. Deborah's presence no doubt bolstered BVarak's faith. Yes, his faith should have been stronger, but if he had no faith at all, Deborah's presence alone would not have been enough to move him to go to Kadesh to gather an army and meet the enemy. We should also remember that in spite of BVarak's shortcomings, the author of Hebrews lists him among the great Old Testament people of faith. And that's in the book of Hebrews 11 and 32. And Hebrews offers no criticism of him or the other flawed men and women of faith it lists in chapter 11. Did BVarak have faith in Yahweh? Yes, he demonstrated this by going with Deborah, calling together an army, and waiting for the Lord to bring the enemy to him. The Lord gave him and Israel great victory over Caesarea and Jabin's army, as well as deliverance from oppression, which is in the book of Judges, chapter 4, verses 10 to 24. Was BVarak's faith all that it should have been? No. That is why in the end it was a woman named Jael, not BVarak, who ended Caesarea's life. Yahweh chooses men and women of faith to serve him, which I agree upon. He does not choose people whose faith is perfect, which I also agree on, for there are no such people. But some people's faith are greater than others. That's why they say you're supposed to pray for increasing faith. You know what I mean? You're supposed to pray for what you're lacking in, because at the end of the day, you know, the Most High gives the increase, you know. But he knows that those who have chosen to follow Hamashiach are capable of great things through faith in the Lord. Their faith may need to be encouraged. They may need a brother or sister to walk beside them, yet they can trust the Lord, knowing that the power to do so comes from him and the glory that is achieved in him. Salaki, achieved is all for him. Since the fall of mankind in the Garden of Eden, we have a history of sinning against Yahweh and being brought back to repentance. Although the Israelites are referred to as Yahweh's people in the Bible, they often seem to behave as though they had forgotten that he was in charge. Much like a serial number or an address or a fingerprint that ensures identification, Salakia, Yahweh leaves his mark on things in such a way that there is no doubt that he is the author of our circumstances. And if if you got any good testimonies, you can attest to that. In this lesson, it is clear that Yahweh wanted his people to know that he heard their cry for help, with the glory and honor of overcoming the oppressor would be his alone. Yahweh's children chastised. Judges 4:1 through 2. The Lord allowed the Israelites to be oppressed for their evil doing by selling them to the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, whose army's leader was Sisera. Yahweh answers his people. Salaki. Jabin had oppressed Yahweh's people for 20 years. They felt powerless against his enormous army and cried out to Yahweh for help. He answered them through Deborah, a prophetess. Deborah called for Barak and explained that Yahweh would defeat King Jabin's great army and deliver them into Barak's hands. Yahweh even went so far as to tell Deborah to let Barak know precisely where to be and how many men to bring. The honor belongs to Yahweh. Judges 4:8 through 10. Barak agreed to fight, but told Deborah he would not go without her. She told him she would indeed accompany him, for she knew that Yahweh had orchestrated the entire thing, even down to the route Jabin's army would take. She wanted to be sure, however, that Barak knew that the deliverance of the Israelites would be Yahweh's victory. He would get the honor, not Barak and his men. Yahweh would prove that he had control of the situation through the prophecy that the great army commander Sisera would be delivered into the hands of a woman. And that's going to end on the story of, or the calling of Barak and Deborah, or Deborah and Barak, Salaki. I'm going to switch and go into the book, or the story, Salaki, the account of Gideon, which is in, where is that? Judges, book of Judges, I believe it's chapter 6. Okay, so I'm just going to start at the beginning. This is the book of Judges, chapter 6, verse 1. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yahweh, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of Midian 7 years. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel, and because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them the dens which are in the mountains and caves and strongholds. So, they was oppressed once again. And so it was when Israel had sown that the Midianites came up, and the Amalekites and the children of the east, even they came up against them. So they was getting bombarded by just all kind of enemies. And they encamped against them and destroyed the increase of the earth till thou come unto Gaza, and left no sustenance for Israel, neither sheep nor ox nor ass. And it's like a precept is saying Leviticus 26 and 16. So I guess where it said increase is talking about the produce of the vegetation. They really was catching hell. Said, verse 5, for they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came as grasshoppers for multitude, for both they and their camels were without number, and they entered to the land to destroy it. Verse 6, and Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites, and the children of Israel cried unto the Lord. And it came to pass when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord because of the Midianites. Verse 8, and the Lord sent a prophet unto the children of Israel, which said unto them, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt and brought you forth out of the house of bondage. And bondage is meaning slavery. Verse 9, and I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all that oppressed you, and drave them out from before you, and gave you their land. Verse 10, and I said unto you, I am the Lord your power. Fear not the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell, but ye have not obeyed my voice. Verse 11, and there came an angel of the Lord and sat under an oak, which is in Ophrah. And I think that's where Oprah get her name from. That pertained unto Joash the Abiezrite, and his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. Verse 12, and the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said unto him, the Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. So Gideon was considered a mighty man of valor. Verse 13, and Gideon said unto him, Salakia. And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? And where be all his miracles, which our fathers told us of, saying, did not Yahawah bring us about Salakia? Did not the Lord Yahawah bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord hath forsaken us and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites. Verse 14, and the Lord looked upon him and said, go in this thy might, and thou shalt have Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have not I sent thee? And he said unto him, O my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am in the least in my father's house. So as you can see, like majority of, the people that was called by Yahawah, by Hashem Yahushua, or Salaki Yahawah, he made up an excuse. But at the end of the day, just like Jonah, if you meant to do something, you're going to do it. At the end of the day, there's no such thing as free will. And anybody that's really wholeheartedly believing this truth understands that. Verse 16, the Lord said unto him, surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man. Verse 17, and he said unto him, if now I have found grace in thy sight, and show me a sign that thou talkest with me. So Yahawah was dealing with, Gideon so much that Gideon actually, and it was a, a doubt thing, and I know some of the Akim battle that demon of doubt, you know what I mean? At times, I'm just being completely honest, I battled the demon of doubt, and at the same time, my testimony I know that the Most High is real. He had to show me Shantan for me to actually understand that, it was, Yahawah was real, He sent Shantan at me, so. Verse 18, depart not hence, I pray thee, until I come unto thee and bring forth my present and set it before thee. And he said, I will tarry until thou come again.